Hey everyone, welcome to B2B Freelance Writer. If you've been on this channel for a while, you know that we teach you how to become highly paid freelance writers in the B2B industry specifically. This is because the B2B industry is the most AI-proof one as of 2026, and it pays really, really well. Now, if you've been around, you know that I write for the B2B SaaS space, specifically CRM, customer relationship management. However, in that specific niche, it's pretty hard to get gigs at $1,000 per article. But these exist, they absolutely exist. In fact, $1,000 per article is very realistic for B2B companies, specifically these three niches that I will talk about. Yes, you need to target the right niche and the right clients. You also need to write with strategy. Strategy is one of the most important things, and it's not easily replaceable by AI. And these niches that I will talk about, I've talked about one of them, I know, in a separate video, and I'll mention the two others. They have budgets and they need quality content to stand out. Number one is reg tech, compliance and regulatory technology. We've talked about it in a previous video. Yes, you can absolutely get $1,000 per article in this niche. So it's basically companies selling software that helps companies stay compliant with laws and regulation. So software that deals with anti-money laundering, SEC reporting, data privacy, and so on. Why they pay 1K per article or more? Because compliance is mandatory for all companies. They cannot just ignore that. Getting it wrong could cost millions in fines, also reputation. The content needs to be super accurate and trustworthy, and really few writers can do it well. So the supply is low and the demand is high, which makes it incredibly good to get in as a freelance writer. So you'll be writing blog posts, white papers, case studies, and guides even for compliance officers. These are technically reg tech startups, so they'll be well funded. Financial institutions, legal tech companies, compliance consulting firms. These are your target prospects. And this is what you can charge. A blog post will range between $800 to $1,500. White papers, even more. Case studies start at 1K. And your retainers will be anything from 3 to 6K. So hitting 10K a month will be a breeze. Niche number two is fintech, financial technology. So it's basically software and apps which handle payments, investing, banking, personal finance. So it's payment processors, robo advisors, budgeting apps, crypto platforms. All of these are examples of fintech. They pay really, really well because they're well funded and they're growing fast. They really need to explain complex products in very simple language for people who don't have financial literacy. So the ability to engender trust in the reader is super essential. So the content quality has to be high. They absolutely have the marketing budget. Here as well, you'd be writing blog posts, case studies, email sequences, white papers. They're basically fintech startups, Series A to C. You can find them on Startup List. Established fintech brands, of course, like Stripe, PayPal, and Square. However, it's good to note that you won't be lending them as a beginner, technically, although you could, but you won't be targeting them. But it's good to understand who the established people in your space are. Banks with fintech divisions, investment platforms, all of these are your target prospects. And here again, the range that you can charge per service is very similar to RegTech, although a little bit less for blog posts, but still, you can hit 1K easily. And with white papers, I think 1K is actually very cheap. The retainers as well are pretty good. HR tech is niche number three. So human resources technology. So it's any company selling software for recruiting, onboarding, payroll, and so on. So here are a few examples. Bamboo HR, Rippling. Why they can pay a lot? Well, HR tech is it's a massive and growing market. You can check it out. It is absolutely growing. Companies are investing in employee experience and retention. It's a big deal. It's very costly for companies to recruit talented people and keep them, so they try to get it right from the beginning. The content needs to appeal to HR leaders and executives, so it has to be high quality content. They absolutely have the budget and they need consistent content. Here again, blog posts, case studies, ebooks this time because you'll be writing on retention and culture, and email sequences for lead nurturing. I have ever had a gig writing an ebook for HR tech, although I did not turn them into a retainer because I was focused on CRM. But yes, they absolutely have the budget and they are ready to pay. So HR tech startups are ideal prospects. Established HR software companies, it's good to check them out. Consulting firms specializing in HR, of course. Enterprise companies with HR content needs, absolutely. So you can charge blog posts, case study, and white papers, and here are your retainers. So very similar to fintech. Now, why do these niches pay more? So because they are more complex and require research. You can't just, unlike B2C, writing an article on fitness. This one absolutely requires research. Few writers specialize in them. Yeah, in fact, because it's just very boring, really, to get into it, or it's not very interesting. So a lot of writers just skip them. The stakes are super high for clients. Getting these rights are absolutely essential, or they could lose millions. Clients definitely have the budget because they're well funded. Uh, Overall, content drives revenue for your client, so they will invest in quality. Thing is, these niches, the only problem is they're not very interesting. I can tell you, I'm not interested in any of these, but I was not even interested in CRM when I started out in SaaS. It's just not a very passionate topic, but it pays very, very well. And it doesn't hurt just to put in a few hours and gain some expertise. But yes, every project that you will write will require you to actively research. That's just part of the job. You will be turning into a researcher, and that's a pretty scary prospect for many writers. They don't want to get into it because of that, which is why they never pick these niches. But hey, if you pick a niche like that, you take some time, become an expert, you're pretty much set. You're AI proof. It pays really, really well. You just need a few retainers and you're already at 10K plus per month. I think it's absolutely worth it. And if you're looking to become a B2B freelance writer, absolutely hit one of these niches. If I was starting out, I would go probably for fintech because I've grown an interest over the years in fintech, but pick whatever you want and become an expert. You will absolutely make money. That was it for this video. If you've made it this far, thank you. Hit subscribe and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.